one on the end? There you go. Okay. I think everything's in working order. Well, good morning, everyone. We welcome you to Venango County Candidates Forum that the Tea Party is sponsoring today. And a little housekeeping here. Just let you know that the restrooms are through the door that says offices. They're on the left. If you need that. We thank you for coming this morning and for attending. And we want to allow as much time as possible for the candidates to have time to answer as many questions. So we're going to run a fairly tight ship here. Heather is going to be my timer, and she's going to, Heather, where are you? Okay. A little sign already, so she's going to warn you when you're down to 5 minutes, okay? Or 5 minutes. 5 seconds. Halfway through, maybe. Okay. It's our custom at the Tea Party in our meetings to open our meetings with prayer. So if you would bow your heads with me, please. We thank you, Lord, this morning for a beautiful day. We thank you for the freedom that we have to gather together in this room as concerned citizens of our community. And we thank you for these people who have decided to become public servants. We ask your blessing upon them. We pray that you would be with us this morning, that the information that we talk about today would be relevant and helpful to all who hear. And we know, Father, that everything is ultimately in your hands, and we thank you for that because that's just easier that way. So thank you, Lord. And be with us, we pray, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Okay, the format of the forum this morning will be each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, tell a little bit about themselves, their skills, what they bring to the table. And so I'm not going to go down the line and introduce you, so you say your name and your party and go from there. Then each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the questions, which is pretty difficult. They're going to have to cut to the chase. So if you have further questions about, want them to elaborate more, see them after the meeting. Okay. And then at the end, they will have a wrap-up time. Each one will have 1 minute, and we will rotate the questions so that Chip doesn't have to answer first time every time.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll get started this morning with our questions. Okay, we'll start with Chip this time and go down. There are 3 mics. If the 3 of you in the middle could share the 1 mic and the 2 on the end and the 2 on the end, I think that'll work well. Okay, question number 1.
Do you do intros?
Pardon?
Introductions?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I don't do this very often. Okay, Chip, you go forward first and do your intro.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's a great honor. I am Chip Abramovic, County Commissioner. I'm part of the Democratic Party. I've been here for 4 years. 3 years, we started this before. So right now, I'm very engaged within the community as well as locally, regionally, and statewide. Is one thing I think I bring to the table that I want to try to have or try to desire. I sit on a lot of boards regionally, economic development, agriculture, opioids. As it goes forward and forward, we're trying to move Venango County forward in the best possible way we can with the current set of commissioners we have in office, and we seem to work well together in driving ourselves forward. So as we look at the past 3 years we had in office, the last 3 of us, we worked very hard together to try combat the opioid epidemic together. We worked very hard with the criminal justice system to try making a change there. We've tried very hard to move ourselves forward and keep a fine line on taxes and the budget balanced. It's been a great first term I've had. I look forward to moving forward with a little bit more, and I'll tell you a little bit as we go forward.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jane, for putting this on. My name is Sam Breen. I'm a lifelong resident of Venango County from Oil City, Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you why. If you want to know why I'm running, it goes back to 4th grade. I was a 4th grader at St. Stephen's. And that year, Quaker State moved their headquarters out of Oil City. That next year, when I was in 5th grade, only 1/4 of my classmates were gone. I'm very serious that it sounds like that's been a long time now, but it is the seed that grew my passion for public service for this area, for creating jobs that are here, for making sure we maintain the jobs that are here. And honestly, that is what led me to eventually work for Congressman Mike Kelly, who's a conservative Republican from Butler County, who specifically brought me down to work with him in Washington, D.C., to help him be a voice for Western Pennsylvania and someone on his staff that knew the needs of the communities of Western Pennsylvania and would help him be a voice for Western Pennsylvania in Washington, D.C. Now, I've worked in every part of the district. I put 300,000 miles on 2 different cars in the last 10 years of my life, and I've gained a lot of experience, a lot of relationships with every level of government, with businesses large and small throughout Western Pennsylvania, and I feel called to run for this office and bring my expertise, my relationships, to focus on Venango County and not just the greater region. I look forward to talking to you all today, and I also hope all of you will take my card on your way out that has my cell phone number, because I plan to be as accessible as possible. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'd like to thank the Tea Party Patriots and Jane for putting on the forum this morning, the CLA guys for being here, the media, and for the papers live streaming this. I am Tim Brooks. I've been county commissioner now for 11 plus years. Like Chip has said, I won't reiterate what he has said. I agree with that. Obviously, we've worked together well and continue to do so to bring the county forward. It has been an honor and privilege to serve on the county commissioner board for the last 11 years. And I live in Cherry Tree with my family, my wife and child, and I have a podiatric physician, family owned practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And thank you, Jane and your party, for putting this on for us this morning. I think it's a great way for people to be able to get to know their candidates. My name is Joe Corelli. I'm on the Republican ballot for County Commissioner. We have been in the Rocky Grove area for a little over 17 years. My wife, Tennille, and my 2 kids, Brooke and Trey. Trey and I own and operate a lawn care and landscaping business in the county. We've been doing it for a little over 7 years now. And so we've been able to provide some jobs every year for individuals. And I look to be able to bring my experience in business and sales. Have probably about 19 years of sales experience and about 15 of business, which some of those overlap with the same jobs. But I'm looking to be able to bring those experiences to the county and be able to help grow business, and also be able to grow job opportunities and bring people back into our county. I have a desire to be out in the public. I have a passion for people, and I want to see people succeed. And if you have followed my campaign, you see that small business is near and dear to my heart, because that is something that I started with my son when he was 12, and I feel that is important to be able to go out and support those who have a small business as well as a big business. So that is why I am running. I want to be able to make a difference in our county for kids growing up. My kids are getting ready to leave the county, which is not something I want, but that's something they need to do. So I'd like to be able to create opportunities for younger kids coming up and the people that are still here. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Not to reiterate everything that they've been saying, but getting up this early, coming out, it's really an honor to see everybody out here coming to hear what we have to say. My name is Mike Delaney. I am running for county commissioner on the Republican ticket. I was born and raised in Venango County. I attended Christian Life Academy, and like most of our youth, I left to pursue higher education. I went to Penn State University, where I got a bachelor's degree in Earth and Space Science, where I actually focused on astrophysics and geology. When I moved back, I got a job at the Chamber of Commerce. I'm currently the executive assistant. So I've worked a lot with the local businesses here. I get to talk to them on a daily basis. I hear about the struggles that they're facing constantly. Most recently, I was elected to Franklin City Council. I am the vice chairman of the planning, or of the redevelopment authority. I sit on the planning and zoning commission. I was the chairman of the Kiwanis Club last year. I also sit on the board of directors for the Venango Museum of Art, Science, and Industry and the Oil Creek and Titusville Railroad. I'm also a member of Myrtle Lodge number 316 and Elk Lodge number 110. So kind of the 4 reasons that I'm running is I want to hold the line on the taxes. I want to generate trust and transparency between the government and its constituents. I want to create revenue generating opportunities for Venango County. I believe that's by bringing in new businesses, because I don't believe government should be in the business of creating jobs. That's what businesses do. So we need to create a business-friendly environment within the county. And lastly, I want to work with local businesses and entities to train the workers that we do have to fill the vacant jobs that already exist within Venango County. As I've said, I've worked with these local businesses, and one of the things that they complain about the most is not having enough people to fill the jobs. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Darrell Carnes. I'm running for commissioner on the Republican ticket. I want to thank Jane and the Tea Party for organizing this morning. It's nice to see all you people out there on a beautiful, beautiful day that God gave us. I am married. I've married 44 years to my lovely wife, Vivian. I have 2 children. I've grown. I have 4 grandkids. And I have 2 4-legged kids, Sophie and Spencer. Why I'm seeking commissioner, I've thought about this for many, many years and just didn't have the courage to do it. And this time I thought, well, I'm not getting any younger. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. I feel there's a lot that needs to be done in this county. I'm a businessman. I own William R. Carnes Plumbing and Heating and been part of that business for 30 some years. I've been owner of it for 25 plus years. And I've talked to a lot of people that are in business, small businesses, and the biggest problem we have is trying to find people that want to work. Try to find people that are able to work. Our working pool in this county is low, and we need to get back to teaching our kids a good work ethic, and that's one of my top goals as commissioner. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bonnie Summers, and I want to thank the Tea Party Patriots for sponsoring this, and thank you for coming out to listen to us. I think that we have a great group of individuals who are running for county commissioner, and this is a very good opportunity to get to know us a little bit. As most of you know, I'm a former county commissioner from 2012 to 2016. I'm very proud of being a former county commissioner. I believe that we had worked together as a team, Vince and Tim and I, and we accomplished much, and I'm ready to continue to do that work for Venango. When I left office, I continued to become engaged in the community. Currently, I am the co-chair of the Cranberry Economic Development Committee. I am the treasurer of the Venango County Economic Development Authority. I'm chair of the Land Bank, secretary of Sugar Valley Lodge, involved with the prevention of the overdose task force, and currently I am a co-chair for a fundraiser for the shelter for domestic violence free. My late husband and I have raised a daughter. We raised a family, and during that time I had worked at the in Human Services. I also went to school at the Venango campus, received a degree in psychology, sociology, and then went on to receive a master's in public administration at Gannon University. I believe that today's economic conditions have threatened our way of life in rural community. I will explore the solutions and work together as a team to make Venango County successful. I'm grateful to have had many outstanding mentors in my life, and I've had a lot of good people who worked with me to make a difference. I learned a lot.
Thank you very much. We are privileged this morning to have the Derrick here live streaming this event. And so I would ask the candidates if they would please speak up so that everyone out there can hear. And is everyone in this room able to hear? Okay. Okay. Very good. We'll get started with the questions then. And I know it's hard to boil it all down to a minute, but do the best you can. Okay. Question number one. And by the way, these questions were formulated by the Tea Party Patriots and prioritized. There's a lot of them I couldn't get to because time-wise, we're only going to be able to try to get 8 in. So I tried to pick ones that would be informative. Chip, can you tell us how long you've been a member of your political party and the principles of your party that you think will benefit the county? And do you feel you can be a team player on the commissioner's board?
Thank you, Jane.
That's redundant for you.
We're good on that. So I've been part of the Democratic Party for 5-6 years now, and I see things differently as how the Democratic Party, the Republican Party affect us as county commissioners. And I come back to a little story, which you guys know I tell stories. My very first conference I was ever at as a county commissioner in Hershey, one of my mentors is a Republican commissioner, 20-year commissioner from out east, Tioga County. And as I was leaving that conference, he looked at me and said, "Sir, what do you want to get out of being a commissioner?" And I said, "I look at it as what I put into this, I will get out of it." And he goes, "Just remember one thing. We are all here for the same goal, the same party, and the same issues to help our residents, our constituents, no matter who they are, what party they are, or even if they are registered to vote. When you take that home, son, please keep that in mind as we move forward. And as if you go to these conferences, you will realize you cannot tell what party people are affiliated with. And that's how I try to lead the county, and that's how I try to do it. There's so many people that I meet and visit with who aren't even registered to vote, but their voice matters pretty much the same as everybody else."
Thank you. I'm a lifelong Republican. I don't know if any of you know my parents, but I think I came out of the womb with an R tattooed on my chest. I don't have any pictures to prove it, though. So I am a lifelong Republican, but how those principles, I mean, anyone can be born into something. What matters is when you develop your own ideas. I did that long and hard. I remember it as a teenager wondering about it and how and whether or not this is something that I truly believed in and what made me a conservative. Am I really a conservative? And I realized that the ideas of individual liberty, of lifting one up by their own bootstraps, of not relying on others, but having the freedom to succeed for yourself are what made this country great. It's what made this county great. And it's what can make this county great again. Thank you. Those principles don't get old.
I have been a Republican also my whole life. I registered Republican when I was 18, been one since then. I hate to reiterate what Sam said, but the principles of the party, conservatism, the family, God, controlling taxes, helping people to help themselves. I mean, giving them the ability to thrive and to better themselves. I grew up in a household where we were on welfare and we had to go through those things. We had nothing. And I was given the opportunity to go to school and to be able to work and to do something to help give back to the community. And I think that's what the Republican Party stands for. The Republican Party, the party of Lincoln. And I really believe in those principles. As far as a team player, like Chip was saying and Bonnie, we work together. We don't always agree on everything. Not hardly at all, really. But we talk to each other and we understand where the other person's coming from, and we do what's best for the county in the end. We make sure that we work for the county and we work together and continue to do that.
Thank you. So I've also been a Republican my whole life. I registered when I was 18. For me, as a Christian man, I do feel that we have to always put God first no matter what we're doing, whether it's family, job, personal life, whatever it might be. And what I have found out being involved in the church is that when you put things in God's hands, things are always done the way He wants them to be done. So as a Republican, I hold those same things to heart. I feel that you need to lead your people, but you need to lead your people as a team, but also have God at the forefront of that. So can I be a team player? I definitely can be a team player. I've been a leader, I've been a follower, and the passion that I have to succeed will definitely be very prominent in my candidacy if I get elected. So thank you.
Thanks, Joe. When I first registered, I originally registered as an independent. That would have been back for the 2008 presidential election. I went through the first cycle of primaries and realized I didn't have any fun with that. I wasn't able to have an opinion, so I felt left out. So that's when I joined the Republican Party. The reason I did that was because I believe in small governments. The intention of the Founding Fathers was to never have a government get as big as it has gotten today. I also believe in allowing the markets to be free, and I also believe that as long as your actions aren't infringing on my rights, then the government has no right to be involved in your private life. So to answer the question, how well will I work with the others? I have friends on both sides of the aisle. I'm willing to sit down and talk with anybody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, and I'm willing to try and find that common ground between all of us.
I've been a Republican ever since I was 18, which was 44 years ago. I'm not afraid to say my age. I believe conservatism is very important. We need to, like one of the candidates say, we need to help people help themselves. We don't need to make a life for them by giving to them all the time. We need them to feel good about themselves and earn their own living and help themselves. We need to educate them and give them work ethics that make them proud of themselves. And I would be a good team. I played sports all my life, and I was a good team player in sports, and I'll be a good team player on the board. Thank you.
Well, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I remember when I became a Democrat, it was when I was 20, and that was when we were given the opportunity to vote. At that time, you had to be, before that, you had to be 21. And then they changed it to 18, and I thought it was the greatest thing that I could vote, that I could exercise my right. And it was funny, at that time, I lived in Arizona, which is it's not quite, it's conservative, to say the least, but it was just it was a great opportunity for me to see the differences in the land across the country. The reason I'm a Democrat is because my father was a union man. He had a strong work ethic. He worked for the Pennzoil, and he went to work every day, no matter what. He never had a sick day. And he gave that to me, and I took that as part of my platform. Boy, this time goes fast. Just get started.
Okay, Sam, we're going to start with you with this question. Of all the boards that the commissioners are required to be part of, area of the county government most interests you, and what will be your primary focus?
Well, to start with the ending of the last question, I will definitely be a team player on all of these boards that the county is responsible for. I've done that in every level of my career, but this is, for me, I think we have two things that we have to work that are my priorities, and one is making sure the jobs that are here stay here and growing the economy around here. But the most important part that's been touched on that is training. We do not have people trained and prepared for a lot of the jobs or willing to do some of the jobs that are out there. I hear it from every single business, not just in Venango County, but across Western Pennsylvania. I've worked with them. I've worked with companies that have actually gone out on their own and worked with the community colleges and the people that they have, the resources they have in their area to solve the problem by themselves. They're not waiting for the government to do it, but I've helped them use resources that county can provide to to make sure that the training is there for the jobs that are there in the community. So that will be a priority of mine.
All the boards we serve on, I don't think there's any one that is a primary focus for me. I'm kind of the person who works across all the boundaries, all the different boards, and they're all important. I think in the end, what is most important is us being able to take the tax dollars and use them appropriately. And that is, there's not really a board other than the commissioner board that does that. So I guess my primary focus would be considered the commissioner board, if you want to literally go by the question, because we control the funding, we control how the money is spent at the county. And that is the most important thing to me, is follow the money, follow where it comes from, follow what we can do with it, and to use it wisely. So I guess that's what I would have to say. I'm not one specific board, but overall working with the finances of the county.
My primary focus would be, I'd like to see the economic development start to really explode in this area. I'd like to see businesses come back in. But with that, we have a lot of businesses in the area that's always hiring, and what I see a lot of it is machine shops and such. So I would like to look into some kind of training, maybe working with the VOTEC or something, to where it gives these guys an open training going into some of these businesses. That's a certificate that, the companies don't have to be concentrating on spending money to train the people that they're hiring. So obviously it would be at the cost of the student, but I feel that we need to do something a little bit more with training the individuals of the county to be able to go into the job force of the jobs that are out there now. So between helping to grow and bring in new businesses with the economic side, and then the training with on the other side. Thank you.
Well, I think I'm in agreement with the other candidates here when I say that I think the economic growth and workforce development is going to be our biggest thing to try and tackle. The last I checked, we had around 800 vacant jobs within the county. So we need to try and fill those jobs. We need to take care of the people that are here, the businesses that are here. We need to take care of the residents that are here that don't have jobs. So I'm really interested in workforce development and all that stuff. I'm also interested in taking care of our aging population. So working with the area on aging.
You talking about me? I'm in agreement with the other candidates. I was thrilled to see VOTEC add a class this year for HVAC, which is my field, because when you try to hire somebody that really doesn't know what they're doing, it makes it difficult for training them, because some of these kids don't have the work ethics that I grew up with. And for me to hire somebody that I can trust to send into your house to do work for you, it's difficult if they don't have the work ethics. And that would be one of my top priorities, is getting kids used to working.
I would agree with Tim as far as what boards are most important. They all are. They all, when I was involved as commissioner, I was on probably almost all the boards, because they all come together. My background is human services, but that's not where I would devote my time solely. It's all together. Economic development, I've been involved in that, and I can see where they all are joined together. One of my main focuses was the Workforce Investment Board, to do training for individuals. There were many grants that came down to the county for training, and this is to be made available to people to be trained. For some reason, it gets caught in many of the bureaucracies. That shouldn't happen. We worked very hard to make sure that didn't happen. Now it seems as if it's going back the other way. So we need to get involved in that and make sure that those people that are in that jail are skilled to have jobs. They need to be out there working. People, I think it is so important to a person to have a job, to be meaningful.
I, like the others, sit on a lot of boards, and my areas of interest and what excites me, I've had a strong agriculture following for the 5 or 6 boards I sit on in agriculture over the past 4 years, but that's one piece of it. But times change, and over the past 3 years, we've had a lot of changes. So my area of focus and interest really evolves through, because right now we're working with the jail, trying to get people out of jail, in the homes, in the work, and not having a recidivism problem, which you'll hear about later. Aside from that, we had the opioid epidemic that started it off, which is completely flipped into a meth problem we have in the county, which is also going into the criminal justice. And aside from that, yesterday we had a workforce meeting in the morning, then after that I was with superintendents in Clarion trying to get drones in schools to teach STEM education. So for me, it's a coverall, but it's what issues are pertinent at the time that my focus is very strong on. And it can go all the way around to, I'm very excited that I sit on a County Commissioners Association. I'm chairman of the board of directors for leadership. And through that board, we dictate leadership qualities and breakout sessions, as well as newly elected officials. I'll be helping to dictate what they are to be true leaders when they go through for a one-day training.
Okay, thank you. All right, roll. The microphone wants to keep shutting off here. We'll start with Tim for this question. A commissioner takes an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. What does that mean to you, especially considering the issues that deal with obstruction of our First Amendment rights of free speech and the practice of religious freedom, and Second Amendment issues concerning confiscation of guns?
This is kind of a simple question. I mean, we take an oath to follow those things, what the Constitution says, so we follow the Constitution, I believe, literally. So it's not, I don't know what else to answer that. I mean, we should follow the Constitution. We take that oath of office. I take that oath very seriously, obviously, and make sure that those principles are followed at the county level.
Like Tim said, you do have to take that oath. So there's a lot of things that go on at a state and government level that really can't be affected at a county level. But, with that oath, you do have to follow it. And if you don't, then, you're kind of living the lie of the oath that you took. However, I am a law enforcement officer, and I agree with every single one of the rights we have, from owning our own guns to be able to speak what we believe in the rightful manner, and practice freedom of religion. But my personal, how to say this the right way, my personal beliefs cannot be overran the oath that I take. So, like I said, at a county level, there's a lot of things that you can't change, but you do have to follow the Constitution and the rights that the oath that you take.
I believe that the Constitution is the single greatest piece of legal, it's the greatest legal document we have. So I take it very seriously. I've already taken an oath of office once for the city council, and I hold that close to my heart. I don't view this as a job. We're a servant of the people. And so it's up to us to protect your rights, your freedom of speech, your right to own your guns. So, the founding fathers didn't want a government of the ruling class. They wanted a government of the people. So I'm here to work for you guys, and I'm here to protect your rights and to make sure that nobody infringes on them.
I'm in agreement with the other guys. You take that oath, you go by that oath. But also, if we start giving up our freedoms, what else are we going to give up? This country is great to us. We need to work hard to keep our freedoms, because once you start losing them, you might as well cash it in.
I don't think there's anything more powerful than standing in front of the judge and taking the oath for office. That means it just means so much. It's overwhelming to think that you are responsible, and you are responsible to the Constitution of the United States. One of the things that's funny, during this past week, I was working with my grandson, who is in 8th grade and is not doing well, so I have to help him along. And we were studying the Constitution. We were studying James Madison, and it was just so great to be able to see what our country was founded on, the freedoms that they wanted, the freedoms that they worked for, that they died for. It is just it's something I think that we ought to do regularly, is take a look back at where we came from, how we developed. because I think it instills a lot of pride in what we're doing.
I strongly believe in the oath, and there's a reason why you give an oath on the Bible that's your family's Bible or Bible of another. But going through that oath is something to uphold your standards and your well-being, as well as we also give an oath when we certify the election every year before we go in that day on the election board. And that oath is to uphold the rights of the citizens to have a concise and precise vote calculation that we uphold and we try to go with. And there's a reason why the oath and why oaths are binding, so we can be as ourselves.
Understand.
I'll clarify. That was perfect timing. So on the election, we give an oath to certify the election. And those oaths, in a lot of organizations, I'm a member of 15 different, every animal club I'm a member of. And every time you get into those organizations, you give an oath to help those that are in need and those that are around you in a fraternal organization. And those oaths are something I grew up on, they're something I believe in, and it's something that made me who I am today. And that's why I truly believe in standing right beside those.
All right, I absolutely, I mean, it's the most important thing in what starts out your service as a county commissioner. There's a good reason for it, following the Constitution, and you have to do that at every level of service. I'm going to go on a little different route. I've spent a lot of time in politics, and I've heard a lot of people at local levels say, well, you know what? Yeah, but those Second Amendment issues, they don't matter. They don't really matter at the local level. You know what? Pro-life, it's important to me, but it doesn't really matter at the local level. Well, it does, and we're seeing that a lot today. We're seeing that locally at the school board. Ask anyone on the school board if the pro-life issue has not touched them. On Second Amendment issue, we have a mayor in Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania, probably no area of the country that you would think would be more pro Second Amendment, and the mayor of Pittsburgh is passing illegal laws to take away guns. Now that is a problem, and that is at the most local of levels. And I strongly stand by the Second Amendment. It's the most important amendment because it protects all the others. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, this one, we'll start with Joe. Because the cost of housing people in the prisons is a significant drain on county dollars, what are the advantages and/or disadvantages of providing adequate facilities inside the county versus farming them out to other counties?
Well, I've been a state constable for the last 8 years, and I've known that our jail here has been overpopulated for a very long time. In order to keep them here and add more facilities, that's going to be a lot more tax dollars for us here. So to sort of farm them out might be the answer for now, but I also would look into maybe like more people that are on house arrest, things that aren't going to cost the county as much money housing them in the jail. I also feel that the legal system unfortunately takes a little bit longer with getting them out and getting them through the system and back out into society. So I mean, I would definitely say we should look into the possibilities of keeping them here, but maybe look into which ones can be under house arrest versus in the jail system, taking up that space.
Thank you. The jail is a big drain on our county taxpayer dollars. It costs us around $15,000 to incarcerate a person for 1 year, versus about $5,000 where it would be to treat these people that have this drug addiction. So I think we need to figure out how we can make these people productive members of society. Because if we just lock them up, we can detox them. They still get access to the drugs in jail though, so we're not really doing anything for them. And when you have 80% of the incarcerated people getting released and coming right back into the jail, that's an issue that we need to address. So I believe that if we can treat these people, we can eliminate the demand. And if we eliminate the demand, we'll eliminate the supply of drugs in the county.
I agree with that 100%. The best thing to do is determine what is better for the county as far as the tax money, and I think Mike hit it right on the head. If we can help these people to stay out of jail, that will definitely keep our overcrowding and our overpopulating in the jail a problem. It's a lot less expensive to help them than it is to lock them up. And I know my granddaughter is she's going to a nursing program at VOTEC, and she has been working on a clinical. They had one patient that came 3 times in one day for Narcan. And that's definitely a problem we have to address. And if we can nail that one, we can nail a lot of them.
As was mentioned, there's probably 90% of the people in the jail are mental health or drug and alcohol. As many of you know, in the past, the institutions have closed, and the people that had previously may have had housing are now found on the streets, and they're then end up in jail. We have some of the best resources available in the county. We have the house arrest, we have the community office with house arrest available and with electronic monitoring. We also have some of the best treatment facilities. We have a system that's able to get people into treatment and get them off the streets and out of the jail. We need to use them more. We need to be able to provide a better system of being able to address the issues. We need to use the workforce development that we have to do the training. There's so many pieces out there that need to be put together to make sure that the people do not stay in jail, do not have to go to jail, that we can prevent that from happening.
I am honored to be chairman of Venango County's Criminal Justice Advisory Board. So this is something I deal a lot with. And I sit on there with the sheriff, and we've been working very hard and proactively to figure out solutions to this problem. The judge started a problem-solving course to try getting those serious repeat offenders and the drug issues out of jail and rehab. We're about to roll out in the next couple months, which has been we're this close to rolling out a reentry program, which we haven't had in Venango County in the past. And we're pushing that forward. I give a stat, or Allegheny County Prison was established, I think, in the late 90s, early 2000s, with a population of 1,200 inmates. Today, Allegheny County sits at 2,400 inmates. This isn't a Venango County problem, it's a national problem, and mental illness is a big part of it. County jails and county prison systems across America are overpopulated, and you hear reports constantly that the state corrections facilities are at all-time lows. They're dumping them back on counties as a mandate for us to take care of 24 minus the month they're here. But how do we fix them? We have an 80% recidivism rate in Venango County. State average is 70. There's things we need to do to address it on the front end as opposed to the back end.
Thank you. I think that I've worked a lot with the Butler County commissioners, and it was a huge issue when they built their jail, and a lot of people didn't like the amount of money that was being spent, but now it's a hotel for every county around it. That's a problem. Sorry. But I think that as everyone knows, we have an crowded jail in Venango County. Chip has talked about recidivism. I think that there are a lot of good ideas for long-term solutions with that recidivism that we can do to fix the problem. But short-term, the worry is budgetary. And that's something that we have to take strong consideration of going in. I've been going through the budget. I'm learning the budget. And I know that I have close relationships with county commissioners all over Western Pennsylvania. Some of them have solved these problems. And the thing with me is I can pick up the phone. I have their cell phone number. They're going to answer when I call, and I can get the best ideas and bring them into Venango County to solve these problems.
Since everybody's talked about the important things, and they're right about that, trying to keep people from the recidivism down, the rate down. So I'll touch on actually the practical part of this. The advantages of having the prisoners here, it's easier for us for transportation back and forth to the prison when they have to go back and forth. Actually, a lot of people over there are for fines and for not paying child support, and they have hearings, and it makes it easier for the sheriff's job to just bring them back and forth across the street. The disadvantages are we have difficulty finding people who want to be prison corrections officers for us. and the cost of that. Shipping them off to Butler, which we do like, unfortunately, contrary to what Sam was saying. It is a nice place. We have good relationship with them. The cost is not that above. It is actually below what we would cost to have the same people here. The disadvantage is transportation back and forth. They have to come over for their trials and for their hearings, and that's the disadvantage of having people in Butler. And building another building, we looked at that, and the cost of that is just prohibitive compared to us shipping people out to the other prisons. But the main thing is to get people from coming into the jail, as everybody said, and I agree with that.
Okay, thank you. Now here's the question you've all been waiting for. What are your feelings about raising taxes, Mike?
Against. I said that when I opened it, so. No, I'm on city council, as I stated earlier, so every year when it comes to budget time, I kind of shudder if we have to start talking about raising taxes. I'm against it. I believe that we're already taxed high enough, and with the amount of low income in this area, I don't think we can afford to do it. Trying to combat that against the rising cost of everything, though, is tough, but I don't think we should be raising taxes. That's not the answer.
Well, I've been a property owner in Venango County for 44 years. So each March, I get that little statement like you guys do. I actually own 3 properties, and I always shuddered when I heard tax increases. It's not a fun thing to think about. You don't want to raise taxes. Sometimes there's no question you have to, but if I'm a commissioner, that would be a total last resort, would be raising taxes.
As an older individual, I've had my share of paying taxes, and if there's anything I don't want to do, it is raise taxes. It is difficult enough in this world to be able to make ends meet, let alone to have to worry about taxes being raised. I would do my best that they would not be raised. I think that we take a look at the budget and see where things can be adjusted. That would be my responsibility as far as working with the other commissioners to make sure that we look at the budget. And it's a very involved process. The budgeting starts in the summer, the early, even around this time of the year, and it's involved, and you do a lot of work on it, and you make sure that you can cut wherever you can work together. That's where the importance of the partnerships comes in, and working with all the departments. The employees of the county do their best to work their hardest, and so we want to make sure that they do receive what they should receive, but at the same time, we make sure that we are a government and we can only do so much with the money that we have, and that's all the money that we are going to receive.
At this moment in time, I'm against raising taxes, and that was shown in our last budget vote we had for the county. And a couple reasons why. One, we have an aging population in Venango County that's on a fixed income, and I feel at this moment in time, our population cannot support a tax increase from the county. The other couple of things are, if we are ever going to have a tax increase, which will be inevitable here in the future, I don't know how near term, but there are different ways we can run the county through changes, which we're trying to work on one now in the background, to maybe adjust some things, change some things, so we can push that can down the road as far as we have to without raising taxes. More efficiencies, other solutions we have for issues we're dealing with to try holding that tax increase back as long as we can. And the 3 of us have worked pretty well currently on trying to do that and be as fiscally sound as we can, so we don't have to tax our residents that much at all. Because if you go through our judicial sale list, which is coming up in May, you'll see there's more and more properties getting on there. That's why the issue of the land bank was created. So we're able to do that, but we want to keep that where it's at or change it as opposed to make it higher.
I'm against raising taxes. I do not want to raise taxes as county commissioner. It's the most important. It's the thing that the county commissioners do. Their responsibility that affects your lives the most. And to me, it's not about whether or not our county taxes are low compared to other counties. Every one of us is paying federal, state, local, county all of it together is what I worry about, not just what the county rate is. And we're all hurt by it. There's a lot of people, as we've said, so many in our communities are older citizens on fixed incomes, and we can't be forcing them out of their homes because they can't afford the taxes around here. There have to be better ways to balance the budget. We're going to be looking at those ways. I've actually commend the commissioners for doing just that. I know that they've been very good fiscally compared to other counties that I've seen at keeping us from having to raise them. That's all.
So everybody has a choice. I will say I'm all for raising taxes, so you just know, so it'll be different. Of course, I'm kidding. I pay taxes, quite a few taxes on my properties, but the problem is people don't understand. The last 4 years we've been running at a deficit. The county's been spending over $1 million more than it's bringing in for revenues. We have cut, and Chip knows this very closely, intimately. We went back 8 times at least this past year for the budget to try to make cuts. We asked all of the departments to have another 10% cut after everything we went through. We are up against a wall right now. There's nowhere to save money except cutting personnel. We are at the point with our personnel that we have audit findings because we don't have separation of duties. So someone could come, an employee is not watched by another employee, basically that means, and they could take money, they could do something that's not appropriate. So I'm not for raising taxes. No, we've raised taxes once in the last 15 years, but there comes a time when costs go, there's no more savings to be made, things we have done that it becomes inevitable. So.
Can I bank time on my next question if I just make this short? No, I'm against raising taxes as well. I mean, the last thing as a resident that we want to do is try to prepare for more money in the spring and the fall that we have to get back to the county. However, I guess that's what I'm going to say. I mean, I'm not for raising taxes. I'll leave the rest of what I want to say for the other questions. Thank you.
Okay, this question possibly I should have asked before that, the last question, but we'll start with Daryl. Have you actually reviewed the county current budget? And if so, what areas do you feel need the most attention?
I have not had a chance to review the current county budget, but I've always had an interest in 2 Mile Run, and I think there's many opportunities that we can actually raise more money with the activities out of 2 Mile that would actually help as far as balancing our budget. We have a beautiful park out there, and not sure we're utilizing it the way we really could be.
I have had the opportunity to review the budget. I've looked at many of the departments and where the monies are, the monies that are coming in, the revenues coming in, where they're coming from, and the expenses and where they're going out. I believe that all of the budget needs to have a lot of attention because you have to look at each piece of it. The biggest piece of the budget is human services. That's my background. Human services, at least 60 to 70% is human services. The main thing about the human services budget is you have to be sure that you understand unfunded mandates, that there are mandates from the state that come down that you have no choice, but you have to fund. And what you need to be able to do is to take a look at those mandates and see how those fit within your organization, within the county, so that they don't become something that becomes a liability to the county. That probably is one of the most, I think, alarming issues that we have to face.
So kind of off of Bonnie's point, we have a $60 million budget, roughly 11 million of that's local taxpayer dollars in Venango County parcels. So that other $49 million comes from federal and state government. So the one side that I always try to push on that is, for example, we weren't expecting to buy new voting machines. So we had a state mandate come down that we had to buy new voting machines. It's going to be roughly 175,000 is what we put into the budget. It'll probably be 100 this year. But that's an unfunded mandate that we could not prepare for. a year or two in advance when you try doing a 2-year plan or a forecast on your budget. We have legislation going on now on the carve-out, which is our behavioral health side and mental health side of human services being pulled out of the county and being put with a larger organization as RFP. We're getting pulled out for MATP, transportation funding potentially, which will be an RFP from the state, which potentially might cost the county more money to fund trips for people getting back and forth for doctor's appointments. So honestly, from a budgetary standpoint, most of it's advocacy at the state level and being involved in the state associations and knowing what bills are coming through and how we have to dictate back and forth and be able to fight those so we know how we can go forward.
I have had the opportunity, I've been proactive about looking into the county budget, and as Chip and Tim both said, the majority of it is administrating federal and state funds that you have no control over as a county, but as a county commissioner. So, but your first responsibility is being a fiscal steward as a county commissioner. There's the second responsibility, that's being an ambassador for the county, someone that's out there trying to get jobs, and that's the only jobs into the county. There's two ways to fix a budget. One, you can tax your way out of it, or you can grow your way out of it. I think that we need to look long term at bringing companies into the area. Do what we can, and always have a focus on what our in all of our departments on what we can do to grow our way and get new revenue streams, and that comes from people working in your county and businesses growing in your county. That will be my focus as a commissioner.
I guess maybe I'll make this a little interesting. Disagree with Sam. I agree we have to grow and make the county better. But the only way the county gets revenues through taxes from property. Property doesn't change. I mean, we have the same amount of property here. So to tax our way, we don't want to tax our way out of a problem, but to get more revenue into the county by having more jobs, unless the people build homes here, which they can do and sometimes happens, but we have to increase the building and we have to increase our tax base. And we have to do that by having people come into the area and build homes, not just move here. And there's the housing market here. I mean, we do have enough housing. So it's difficult. I mean, we need to do that. I agree. We have to bring new businesses and new people in and working to do that. But the budget, we review the budget when we do our budget hearings every year. We have a software system where we can go back and look back 5-10 years of historically what's been spent for items. We go item by item. And this is a complicated question that I can't answer in a minute, obviously, because my time's up and I've just started. So if anybody wants to talk about it later, I'm sure Chip and Monty could espouse on this better too, in more detail.
I have not got a chance to review it yet, but I do have experience in budgeting with my business experience. So without looking at the budget for this year, I can't really talk upon it, but I know that there's areas I feel that that could be utilized to grow more revenue in the area. But like Tim said, there's not enough time in a minute to be able to discuss everything that I feel is important. So I encourage you to maybe get with us afterwards, and we can go a little bit more into detail of what we'd like to say on that subject.
Thank you. I have reviewed the budget. Again, being on city council, I understand the delicate balance between that. To echo what was said earlier, the whole budget is important. If it wasn't important, if we didn't need it, then it should have been cut if it hasn't been cut. So I think what our biggest issue is going to be is trying to combat the rising cost of everything, keeping up with the infrastructure against a shrinking tax base. So that's why it's going to be really important for us to bring in these new businesses and bring in new people to live here so we can increase the tax base that's coming in, increase the money coming into the county.
Okay, Bonnie, if you would take this question. What skills and passions do you bring to the table to enhance the economic development of Venango County, encouraging new businesses in the area and general promotion of our area? And if you'd like to get specific on that, would be good.
Currently, I am involved in the economic development, being on 2 boards on the Cranberry Economic Development Board and the County Authority. I have a real passion of working with people. I like to work together. I know Venango County, I know the people, and I want to work together to make this a successful and a quality county. I've devoted my life to make sure that I'm committed to what I do. I have a very strong work ethic, and I'm passionate about Venango County is one of the most beautiful counties. I think it's just a real privilege to work here. When I come down Route 8 and see the hills, the river, and coming into the city, into Franklin, it just is just so heartwarming to me every day. As far as economic development, I make that known with everybody that I meet, that this is a county that has a lot going on. It is successful. We have such a great recreation, and sorry.
Venango County cannot be an island in the middle of western Pennsylvania any longer. We need to get outside of the county walls that are built and start to grow from the outside in. Whether that's a drive to Pittsburgh, that's one of the fastest growing cities in America, that's an hour and a half away, whether it's working with Cranberry Township in Butler County, which is the top fastest growing city in America or borough in America, whether it's driving to Harrisburg for a meeting that's 5 minutes and it was a 3-hour drive each way. That's what we need to do, to let people know Venango County exists and Venango County is on the map. And the only way you do that is by standing up and taking a step outside of your comfort zone and outside of the box we live in. This is a big world we live in, and Venango County isn't the center of it. We are the center between Pittsburgh and Erie. We are the center between Chicago and New York and DC, but we can't talk to any of those people if we don't take a step outside and do it. Whether that be starting a commission on Interstate 80, which Clarion County Commissioner is talking about, for the whole entire Interstate 80 corridor in our region to start developing our infrastructure and our exits, but we need to do something, and staying at home, sitting here is not getting anything done.
I'm going to start with my passion. My passion is Venango County. I love this region. That's why I'm here. I could be, I guess, anywhere else in the country if I wanted to be, but this is where I want to call home. This is where my roots are, and I know that it's a special and unique place that we can build on. I know it's a place that people want to live. We have access to bigger to all the things you want in a big city in Pittsburgh, and you can take that any weekend, and you can spend a day on the river without driving in traffic, getting out of the city. These are the things that a lot of young people want today. But my skills are things that I've built throughout my career working outside of the area. And it was in that time that I learned what it was that I loved about this area. I was known in my job, in previous jobs, a lot of friends and colleagues called me Mr. Venango County because of how much I love and how much I talk about my home. But it's working with them. I've been working at every level of government, with every level of government. I've been working with the biggest businesses in Western Pennsylvania and the smallest. They always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. There's another part to that. It's who knows you. The most important part of that is who's going to pick up the phone when you call them. I've built those relationships and skills, and I'm going to bring them to help Venango County. The end.
Don't make me hit you.
Yeah, it does.
Now, this time I'm going to agree with Sam 100%. He's right. Absolutely. My passion is for the area also. Unlike Sam, I moved here from outside. I came here. I was able to become successful here. I married here, raised a family here, and still raising my family here. And I want them to stay here, have the opportunity to be here. I want to show other people from outside the area how great this area is, how beautiful it is, and the opportunities we do have for the reasons that he and Chip both have talked about. So there's no reason to reiterate all that. I think the skills I bring is I understand the rules we have to live by, the rules we have to play by. I understand how to use those rules to our advantage. I know how to get around those rules if need be to our advantage. And that's what I'll continue to do.
What skills do I bring? Well, my son and I, when he was 12, started a business, and we're 7 years later and almost we're on track to do over 100,000 this year. So I have the ability to and the passion to succeed. I also worked for a company years ago that was 100% commission, and I took a route that was selling $250,000 a year, and I grew it to $500,000 a year in just 7 years. So I have the passion to succeed. I haven't worked a job yet that I've worked under 10 hours a day. So the skills and the passions that I bring is I know how to grow a business, and I can bring that to Venango County and help develop new businesses. And you give me the tools that I need that the county offers, and I will sell them to the people that have businesses that are looking to come into the county.
The skills and passions that I bring, I think my resume will speak to that. I work for the Chamber of Commerce, so I live this life every day. I'm constantly dealing with these businesses locally, trying to get new businesses in here. So economic development, that's kind of what I bring to the table for Venango County. My passions, all the different boards that I sit on, all the organizations I belong to, service organizations. Actually, as soon as we leave here, I have to go up to the Easter egg hunt and start passing out the eggs for those kids. So, it doesn't end here. So I feel that what I bring in is experience, energy, and honesty.
The skills I bring, I've been in business for over 30 years. I've owned that business for over 25 years. I've worked hard to earn the trust of my customers, and I'll work hard to earn the trust of my constituents. The enhancement of this county, we have a lot of diamonds in the rough. The bike trails, my wife and I use the bike trails a lot, and we have people from Pittsburgh will meet on the trail as we're taking a break and getting a drink. They're saying, "Boy, you people are so lucky. You have this bike trail. We have to drive so far to utilize this bike trail," and that's a plus for our county. That's something we can sell to people, and we have so many of those diamonds in our rough to polish and offer to people outside this county.
Okay, this is our last question for this morning, and it's, well, sort of a trick question, maybe, I guess. What's your biggest concern as you face the possibility that you could win this election?
Well, this might sound different, but I don't have a concern because win or lose, I have no regrets, and I live my life that way. And I took a promise to myself when I first ran and got elected that I'll always be working for my residents as well as nonstop 24/7 and work as hard as I can for each and every one of them. And if I happen to not get elected, I won't have a concern because I'm not going to walk out on December 31st and say, I wish I would have done this, because I will do it. And I will get it done before that time comes. And I actually ask you for your vote the 21st and in November because I want to do that for 4 more years. Because I don't leave with regrets, because we're tackling the criminal justice side, the sheriff and I, really, really strong. We've tackled the opioid addiction really, really strong up front. I think I was the first commissioner to publicly come out against it. We're doing things as hard as we can and as fast as we can because we live in an ever-changing life that changes month by month. So you can't live a life with regrets if you expect to go any further.
I have one question. Is this do we get a conclusion, or is this the end?
No, you after this, you get a wrap up.
Oh, all right, great. I don't have any concerns either, honestly. I've never been more certain about a choice that I've made in my life than to run for this office. I know no matter what, win or lose, I'm still here. I'm still going to be serving. I'm going to do what I've been called to do, and that is serve this community and help the people of Venango County in any way I can and as much as I can.
My biggest concern, I'll be very frank and honest, my biggest concern is someone else being elected with me who I can work with, who has the strengths to overcome my weaknesses. I mean, we all have strengths and weaknesses. We need to work together. We need those people to help me to achieve what we need to achieve. Someone who's going to respect the employees of the county, someone who's going to respect the other elected officials, someone's going to respect the taxpayers and all the citizens of the county and help me to do what is right for them.
I don't have any concerns. I look at it this way. I chose this path because I have a desire to change some of the things that are going on within the county. If I happen to not win the election, if you guys look at my Facebook campaign page, you'll see that I have really promoted a lot of benefits and small businesses and organizations that most get at least 1,000 hits on. And so if nothing else, I've gotten a lot of great information out of things within the county to people of the county. And I will continue to do what I do, whether elected or not. You know, I like I said earlier, I have a passion for people and their success in this county. So at this point, I have no concerns that I feel that I would face.
Well, I think the biggest concern, and most of you would agree with me, is balancing running this government efficiently and effectively. I have an open door policy. You know, I want you guys to hold me accountable to this. You know, you'll always be able to stop me on the street if you see me walking down. If you disagree with me, let me know. I think that's the biggest concern with this is remaining accountable to you guys, and that takes you, the citizens, stopping me, talking to me, telling me when you agree with me, when you disagree with me, what you want me to do. So.
I really don't have any concerns except that I guess I might have a concern that I know I've worked hard all my business life to earn the trust of my customers. I hope that if I win this election, that I can earn your trust and you will look up to me as a good leader, because that's the most important thing is leading the county into more prosperity.
I guess my biggest concern is that if I'll have enough time to do everything that I want to do. There's so many people out there that I want to work with. There's so many partnerships that need to be done. I want to provide a quality of life for our children, area where businesses can grow, where people can be trained and educated in jobs so that they can stay in this area. There's so much to do. There's so many people that I want to contact. There's partnerships that I want to make that I wonder if I'll have enough time to do it all, but I'll make sure that I do as much as I can.
Okay, some of you already started on the wrap up, but that's okay. We're giving you another minute to tell us why we should vote for you and anything else that you would like to add that you weren't able to add tonight. Today. Go ahead.
All right, so a little bit about me. My leadership philosophy, I believe, is working with you and alongside you. And over the past 3 years, I think I've proven that. You see me in the community, you see me everywhere. I ask questions, I ask what your opinions are. To be a leader that sits behind a desk and does not know what their residents want is a leader that will pull us behind, not put us ahead. So being alongside people and asking what they want and working with them helps move us forward. And that's not just shown locally for me, that's shown regionally and statewide. I have a network of commissioners from across the state. To be in my first term to be put on the County Commissioners Board of Directors for the State Association, as well as I said it earlier, but to be the chairman of the Leadership Committee, the Academy for Excellence in Government Leadership. That's a big thing to do for a gentleman that's in his first term as your county commissioner. So your county commissioner is also dictating a 2-day workshop. I said one before, but a 2-day workshop on leadership qualities and how they govern and how to lead counties across Pennsylvania. That's showing something from what we have here in Venango County. So how do we get that outside and how do we start to grow internally as well as externally to make us move forward? So I appreciate your vote.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here, caring enough about your local government to come and listen to us this morning on a beautiful day. I also want to thank everybody that's at this table that is running for office. It's vitally important that we have good people putting themselves out there, letting themselves get negative comments on Facebook. It doesn't matter. You have to put yourself out there, and I commend everyone for being a part of this. And I think going forward, I ask, win or lose, that you all stay involved, that you all, because I think we all bring something to the table that we can work together to make this community better. I've been working to help every county around here for a very long time, my entire career. I'm very excited for the opportunity to focus my skills, my experience, and my relationships on Venango County. I've been rooted here for 6 generations. My great-grandfather served Venango County. My grandfather served Venango County. My father served Venango County. My godfather and great-uncle served Venango County. And with your permission, I'm asking for your permission on May 21st to allow me to serve Venango County as County Commissioner. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank everybody for being here this morning. It's important to be involved with this process. It's an important process. We, as your local elected officials, control a lot of what happens here. We can raise your taxes. We can raise your taxes up to 25 mils if we want to. So it's important that you're here, you hear us, you understand us. I also like to thank everybody here up at the table who are running it. It takes a lot to do this, and you have to put yourself out there, and you have to understand and accept that people aren't going to like you, and they don't even know you. And it takes a lot to be able to do that, and it's a shame, but these people are very important up here, and I thank them for running, giving us all choice of what can happen. I'm very passionate about Venango County. I moved here. I love it here. I've been able to be successful here. I've met my wife and my kids here. So I want to continue to help the county to grow, to continue to provide opportunities for businesses to grow here, to move here, our kids to stay here, and bring our people back here. Thank you.
I will ring that bell too. I thank you all for being here. And I do thank the candidates up here. We have been running a clean race, and I appreciate that because, you can run a clean race and not have to demean somebody just to get your vote. So I appreciate all you guys and the races you're running. I do encourage you not to maybe just decide on who you want to vote for with this little interaction that we had, but take time to get to know each of us up here a little bit more. Contact us with any questions that you might have that we can go a little more into detail on some of these questions that were asked today. I look forward to the opportunity to be able to serve you as county commissioner if elected. I do have a lot of passion. I keep speaking of that, but I do have a lot of passion for the people, and I want to be able to help you all be as successful as I have been as in my experiences of business. So thank you for your time today.
It's going to sound like there's an echo in here, but I want to thank everybody also for coming out, and thank to the other candidates up here. I'm asking for your vote because I feel I have the background that's necessary to run this government. I've worked in the economic development world for the past several years. I also run a government. I have the experience doing that. And so I believe that offers me a unique advantage to be able to bridge the gap between those two worlds. I also have a deep-seated belief in giving back to the community any way that I can. This is why I sit on all the boards that I sit on. This is why I volunteer every chance that I get. And I mentioned earlier that, electing me means you're going to elect a servant, because that's what an elected official is. They're a servant of the people. So I would appreciate your vote this May.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank all the candidates up here. I'm definitely not a polished politician. I'm a businessman. Most of my dealings are with my customers. I work hard because my business is repeat business. If I don't satisfy them, I don't get to go back. And I promise I'll work hard and do the same thing for you people. A lot can be accomplished when you have good, hard-working people working together for the good of everyone. I want to thank you, and I appreciate your vote in May.
I also want to thank you for being here. I know it sounds like an echo, as has been said, but I do appreciate the opportunity to talk to folks. I also appreciate the opportunity to be among the candidates. We do have a good set of candidates. I think that Venango County is very to have the type of people who are running, and I think it'll be a great benefit to all. I have an investment in Venango County. That investment is my daughter and my grandchildren live here. With that investment, I'm going to do everything I can to make this a great county. The best indicator of future success is past success. And I believe that I've been very successful in my personal life and in my professional life. I've worked together. I've done as much as I can do with people that I know, the contacts that I know, being able to form partnerships going out to whatever areas it's necessary. As I said, my background is human services, but I've also worked with businesses as much as I could. And I'm looking forward to doing that in the future.
Well, thank you all. I think they all deserve a round of applause. People who gave up all the yard work that you could be out there doing and truck fishing and everything and put your county government ahead of that. And I'd like to thank the candidates for participating in this forum and choosing to toss their hat in the ring. Our country needs more patriot statesmen and women who hold community service higher than their own personal preferences. I hope that we will all remember to hold our elected officials in prayer and give them some stability and understanding as they represent us to the best of their ability. We're not always going to agree with them, but in this country, I have noticed the great division and uncivil ways that we have dealing, and it's too bad. We need to be able to learn again how to have a civil debate on issues, agree and disagree agreeably. So thank you all for the campaigns that you're running. As you said, Joe, that we don't need to get nasty in an election campaign, and it allows us to learn a little bit more about you. I thank the Derrick today and Christian Life Academy media team who's here filming and making this event available online on their website, and also there will be a video of this on the VCTPP.org website, which is our site. We're all about informing voters on issues, on candidates. We try not to take an endorsement stand. Of course, we're a conservative organization, so a lot of us individually vote conservative, but I think I take great pride in the fact that our first president for the Tea Party was a Democrat. Not many people know that, but he was, and we were able to work together. But I'd like to take this opportunity to announce too that on Monday we are going to be the Tea Party National are going to be celebrating 10 years. So we're going to have a 10th anniversary tax day. You'll all be going to the post office to file your taxes. A tax day Tea Party rally on the steps of the courthouse from 11 to 1. It's basically just a sign waving party to let people know that we are in the area. We will have a few speakers, but to let people know that we're alive and well. I don't know whether you followed the Tea Party very much, but it started in 2009, overnight, almost overnight. 35,000 people in 50 cities organized the first Tea Party. 2 months later, there were 850 cities that had over 1 million people meeting. This is truly a grassroots, we the people movement, and we are now over 3 million across the nation. And we do have the ear of people in Washington, and along with a lot of other conservative groups. It's not just the Tea Party Patriots, Heritage Action, just a lot of conservative groups. We're all working for the same goal. And I want to draw your attention to the fact that we do have a literature table. Everything on that table is free. There are some very important things I would call your attention to. They're on brightly colored paper, yellows and greens. There's 2 House bills that we're very concerned about. Be informed about them. Also, we have a contact sheet. Everybody needs to know. I've got my congressman's number speed dialed. Okay, I got yours too. But there's all the contact numbers that you need to keep in touch with your elected officials and let them know how you feel about things. Another announcement, there's a flyer over there about a Second Amendment rally in Harrisburg on May the 6th. And anybody that's interested in going down for that, there is a bus going from Clarion and a caravan going from Franklin. So pick up a flyer on that if you have any interest in going to that. As we said, we are an organization that likes to inform, so we're going to be having another movie. We just had the Gosnell movie last week at the theater, and we did 138 people came out to see it. It was really good. We're going to be showing Agenda 2, Masters of Deceit, on May the 19th, donation basis only. There's a flyer over there on that too, so you might want to put that on your calendar. Last announcement, for the Republicans, so they are having their Lincoln Day dinner May the 4th at Cross Creek, and Congressman Mike Kelly will be speaking along with a couple of judges, Christy Lee Peck, Megan McCarthy King, as well as the local candidates will probably all be on board there too. So if you would like to go, I have a few tickets. If you want to sit with the Tea Party, we'd love to have you. We have 5 tickets left at our tables, and I'm sure the Republicans in the room may have some tickets. I think Tim, Heather, anybody else have tickets? You have some. See them afterwards if you're interested. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you patriots who take time to be informed. And have a great day. Take a cup of coffee and a donut with you as you leave.